Welcome back, Sprinkles. Can PulseChain do 10,000x? Can PulseX do a 10,000x? Often people in the community, the HEX community, will say, well, HEX did a 10,000x print from the very low, so these can too. And I will say, yes, anything is possible in crypto. Absolutely. I will give it to you. But we want to go through the facts. You come to me. All of you love joining my community, like, subscribe, bell button, all, because I give unbiased, independent, truthful information. I tell you how it is. I don't beat around the bush. I want you to know the game, because it is one big game after all. So I've made a lot of videos. PulseChain, 125x, 200x, and a lot of people were saying to me, DMing me, saying, hey man, 10,000x is possible. I'm saying, yes, it's possible. But if you are offended at the thought of PulseChain doing a 100 to 200x and then stopping and then dropping 70% from there, and now you've got to worry about exiting, you are not long enough. So what I did was I made a sheet here for you, an Excel sheet. I went to the top 100 addresses, friends, so you can verify these yourselves. You can go to Pulse Lead and PulseX Lead, and you can grab all the money. And what I did was I just wanted to see, I want to try to imagine this world. This is what I do. This is the game. The game is we're trying to anticipate and think about the future. Remember, newbies and poopy heads and dingleberries, they are trying to invest based off today or based off yesterday, the past. If you want to win in this game, you have to invest based off the future, trying to think about how it's going to play out. So if we were to do a 100x, 1000x, or a 10,000x, I want to know, what do the wallets of the biggest sacrifices look like? Just the top 100. No one in between, because there's a lot of sacrifices. I've just used the top 100 here. And what I did was I grabbed all of them for both PulseChain and PulseX. And I'm going to show you now. I'm going to show you my Excel sheet. What I did was, here's PulseChain, top 100. We're going to go through because we're baby doll baby cakes, and you're going to see how it looks. So the first wallet sacrificed 29 million. You can see here, on 100x, he's got 2.9 billion. On 1000x, he's got 29 billion. And at 10,000x, he's got 295 billion, one guy. But, you know, the top 5 addresses, 10 addresses, you kind of assume most of the time, you give them the benefit of the doubt, because if this whole ecosystem is going to succeed, you got to believe that the guys on top are like Satoshi, because they really want to take it to the top. Most of the time, the people at the top, they have enough money. They don't need to sell. They're not new money. They're used to the game. And they know that they can't possibly change their lifestyle that much to increase it anyway. So a lot of them really donate to the community for their chance to be at the top of the empire. So what I do then, I never look at the very, very top wallet. I start going deeper down. And I want to start to imagine what goes through the minds of some of these people. Yes, see, we are in the game of speculation. It is a game. I'm telling you, if you want to make it in this game, you have to think like this. You got to think like this. You can't ever get it right. You can't be pessimistic. You can't be too optimistic. You have to be reasonably optimistic every time. You got to believe you can always push on. You can always grow more, but you got to think about the future, man. You can't sit here thinking, well, happened in the past, gonna happen again, mate. It can happen again, but if it doesn't happen, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, damn, my friend Sami tried to warn me. He tried to tell me to get my bags bigger just in case this happened. You're going to be very upset. So what I do was I'll go to rank like 50, 40s. I want to see, remember, this is a 100x column here. 100x. Rank 50. Someone who put $1.3 million worth of HEX when the sacrifice was done. At 100x, they'd have 136 million. At a 1000x, 1.3 billion. 10,000x, you obviously know, I'm not even going to say this number, but it's 13.6 billion. If you noticed, even on this 10,000x column, everyone around him or her has 13 billion here. Look, 12 billion, 10 billion, 11. They all make the Forbes rich list, all of them. Please, I've got to remind you, if you have a negative reaction to seeing this, you got to remember, one, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you more than anyone else. I promise you from the bottom of my heart. I am trying to tell you something. I'm not trying to tell you, sell and quit, never going to work. I'm not saying that. What I am telling you is the chances of you being let down at some point in the future, they're pretty high. There's a lot of red flags. Someone's going to get let down somewhere at some point. How can you avoid that? There are two types of people in this world. When there's a burning building, 99% of people run away. I am the 1% who runs in. I've got my cute little fireman jacket and I've got bottled water. That's all I got. I'm trying to put out the fire, all right? But I'm trying to do the best I can. I'm trying to help you. So if you're looking at this number, let's say you're looking at rank 95, by the way, 95. This person, just let me remind you, this person sacrificed $800,000. If you think everybody around him is really going to hold to $8 billion, please. He's put $800,000. He's got, that's like somebody who's like, oh, I sold my house, sold 2 of my houses. I just went in. I trust in it. That's possible, right? Even on a 1000X, he's got $800 million. But if you can see a world in your mind, you go, you know what? I think 80 million for this person might be reasonable if things really pop off. If you can see that in your head like I can, well, now you know why my rough estimates for PulseChain could be 100 to 250x. Because we're going to go through deeper. Because I know, look, if you have a negative reaction, that means you're not long enough. But even then, if you can see this world, if you can see like, you know what, there's other numbers, they're pretty big. But I can kind of see these numbers. I can see them in the future. Crypto grows exponentially bigger. Well, guess what? The good thing is this is a 100x ROI, return on investment, return on friendship. 100x is huge, man. 100x, friends. If you do $10,000 times 100x, you become a millionaire. And this isn't a meme coin. This is the beautiful part. You got to understand this part. This is where our friendship goes up another level. I'm here to tell you something. The difference between HEX, PulseChain, PulseX ecosystem and the other meme coins is when the other meme coins are up 10x, I can tell you, okay, hey man, it could literally drop minus 99% from here and die forever, or it could go up another 10x at each point. But if PulseChain and PulseX are up 10x, I can confidently tell you, you know what? I don't think this community is going anywhere. I don't think we're going to sell off minus 99% from here. So you can keep holding with a higher probability of success instead of failure. That's the difference. In a short way of saying this is you can sleep at night if there's a crash, if something happens. So by the way, this is just PulseChain. This is just PulseChain, PLS, PulseChain. What I've done here is I've calculated the total value of all their wallets. Total value. But you know, friends, before we continue, I want to remind you something. Because you might say to me, hey man, market cap means nothing. And I'll say, Habibi Albi, keep telling yourself that all day. If you want to say to me, market cap means nothing, that's okay. That's okay. Keep saying that. Even though every single person out there says it matters, it doesn't matter in the way you think it matters. It matters in a different way. Market cap matters like this. If you know the market cap of real humans, you know, therefore, how much money they all think they have stored. You got to think of it as one person. So in this 10,000x scenario, the market cap of the top 100 wallets would be 2.9 trillion. So do you think you would get $2.9 trillion of value stored in the minds of these top 100 people, do you think you would get there? I want you to think about this. Do you think you'd get there in a few years? Or do you think they would think 296 billion is a lot? Or do you even think 30 billion is a lot? This is how you have to think about it. I don't know the answer. I'm not telling you one thing is going to happen. I'm not telling you that. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just telling you this is how you have to conceptualize it. This is how you got to think about it. You got to grasp it in your mind. And you know, I've got to show you something. The liquidity. So you might say to me, hey, market cap doesn't matter. That's true. So let's go through the liquidity. I'm going to go back to the sheet and show you this. And by the way, don't shoot the messenger. I'm here to help you. This is the truth. I didn't make the game of the rules. I'm not any of these big guys who went in too hard. I'm not the one who's thinking about selling on a 2x. I am not that person, or selling on a 5x. So don't blame me. I'm not the one who was selling HEX after minus 97%. I was buying. I'm one of you. I want this to succeed. But this is the HEX liquidity. So you know what a good question you might ask me is? You might ask me, hey, before we continue, please, sir, I want to know, you're probably curious, how much liquidity did HEX have at the very top? Now, this chart doesn't have the true pricing. It was actually 50 cents up here for some reason. But you probably want to know, all right, what was the HEX liquidity when HEX hit 50 cents up here? And the answer, I can't verify this 100% again, but I remember seeing the chart a long time ago from Gerardo. It was 100 million USDC on the liquidity. At the very, very, very top, 100 million. If you notice now, we've actually got 5 million. But I think because of the PulseChain snapshot coming at any time, people don't want to have it. So right now it's about 8 million. Think about this number, by the way. So what does this mean? This is the liquidity pool of Uniswap. So if you have, I'm going to get this cute picture for you so you can see. If you have in the liquidity pool, if you have 100 million USDC, and I'm going to get the logo for you because that would mean we are going somewhere with this friendship. I'll have to use the logo here. Here we go. If there is, so this is what you want. So there's 100 million USDC. So at the very top, this is actually what it looks like, friends. So let's move this square. At the very top here, you have 100 million USDC in the pool, and then you have a certain number of HEX, which is for sale. The very top. So at any point, one of these big wallets could have sold, and actually you can see they did sell down heaps. They started selling down big, right? So they could have sold 50 million USDC, and you can do the formula, and if they did that, it would have dropped the price 75%. So if you notice, it went from 50 cents, I think, down to like 14 cents. The real number, the real HEX price was up there. Yeah, so you can see it actually, wow, isn't that crazy, friends? We actually dropped. So what I've done was I went to the very top, and I remember HEX hit about 14 cents on one of these crashes. Look at this. We dropped 70%. So that kind of tells you, of the 100 million USDC up there, people said, hey, that's too much. This is too much money. I'm going to start selling. And they removed about 50 million. And look what it did to the price. Okay, so I want you to know these numbers. I didn't sell, so don't blame it on me. You blame it on these people. They sold. I'm here to help you. You come to me for unbiased information. I'm here to give you the truth. I have this information. I've got it mapped out here. I'm presenting it to you. Instead of this like, oh, well, this might happen or might not. No, I want to know the real numbers. I want to know exactly what's going on. 50 million USDC was taken out. We dropped 75%. 50 million was taken out. And there was 100 million at the top. So why do we go through this number? Well, keep that 100 million USDC, keep it in your mind when you're thinking about PulseChain liquidity here. The top 100 wallets on a 100x would have 29.6 billion. Okay, so you can write here versus 100 million. Now, we're going to go through PulseX, but we're going to do the same numbers. I just want to show you this. PulseX, also big. Okay, so PulseX, giant wallets as well. Here's PulseX, same things. We have a top 100 wallets. It's a same game, 100x, 1000x, 10,000x. In PulseX, you have 100x ROI would give 37 billion, 1000x 372 billion, 10,000x 3.7 trillion. There was more money put into this, about 50% more of non-origin address sacrifice money. So This is the ROI. If you got that big, this is what it would look like. So people would also say to me, I understand. They'll say, hey, man, there's going to be people who sell in this, etc. But this is why I just showed you the liquidity number for HEX. That's why I just showed it to you right here. Because 100 million, you can multiply this for the next wave up. You can say, all right, you can say to me, hey, in the future, we can change this to a weekly chart, friends. You might say to me, hey, in the future, maybe HEX goes to $5. We can put on a log chart. This isn't the full chart, by the way. Obviously, HEX is up much, much higher. So it's 8 million down here. It's about 100 million up the top. So you might say to me, okay, up the top, let's say HEX goes to $5. I'm going to draw a line here. You might say, okay, instead of 100 million, we're going to have 1 billion of liquidity. 1 billion of USDC. That's huge already, right? That's huge. But what about PulseChain and PulseX? So these people have demonstrated where they were in HEX. They demonstrated where the big whales were like, that's it, I'm too rich, screw everyone, I'm out. And it was about when the liquidity pool was about 100 million at this size. So if we get to 1 billion up here, remember that's 1 billion, just one. What would cause a 75% crash from here? It would just be 500 million exiting. 500 million. I want to remind you as well, friends, this is important, okay? You're not going to pick the top because when the top is confirmed, it's already down minus 70% and you got to get out on halfway of the retracement back up. So for example, HEX 50 cents goes back down to 14, back up to 28. That's where you had to get out. That's the complacency rally, 28 cents. So that's like, if you're looking at it at a chart, that's what you actually had to do to get out. So 1 billion up here. And you might say, okay, well, let's go but look at these numbers. I'm here to show you. We can do both PulseChain and PulseX if you want. 1 billion. So I just want you to remember that number in your mind. So if HEX goes huge to $5, it will have about 1 billion of liquidity, roughly. It doesn't have to be exact. I want you to go look at this. Like, let's go look at just rank 69 here on PulseChain. Rank 69 on a 100x will have $100 million. But on a 1000x, he would have 1 billion. Look at this. Remember, this is 1000x. The middle column is 1000x. Rank 69. Just himself, if he wants to cash out, crushes it. So I want you to see, this is the game. This is the game. So if this world happened and we actually did go all the way to 1000x, this is what you're betting on. You are betting on these people not selling. So if it was just one guy, now I want you to see why. When something is centralized, it's much easier to pump. Imagine Wallet 69 was one dude and you trusted him and you could watch him and you speak to him. You're like, hey man, this guy, he's like really, really rich. He's got a lot of yachts. He doesn't need anything. He wants this to be around for 10, 15 years. He's a big believer. He wants to become a trillionaire. You could believe in that narrative. You can. He might betray you and still sell, but at least you have some information to weigh up the odds in your mind if that's working or not. But look, we're decentralized now. You don't have Wallet 69. Look at everyone around him. If Wallet 69 doesn't sell, what about Wallet 70? What about 71, 72, 73, 74? They've all got $1 billion. This is why all of these people end up on the Forbes rich list. All of them. PulseChain, PulseX as well. This is PulseX. You want to go to rank 69 on PulseX, for example. Let's go to rank 69. Rank 69 will have 1.2 billion on a 1000x. On a 10,000x, he'll have 12.4 billion. So these are numbers you're dealing with. I'm looking at the liquidity, and I've shown you now, well, what are the chances? Remember, I'm telling you, this can still happen. Yeah, we can rally. We can go 1000x, 10,000x. We can. I'm just trying to get you to see in your mind, what does that world look like? You have all these people up here. What do you think the chances are of one of them bailing? Just one. That's what you have to weigh up because it's very thin. It's very thin. And you might say, okay, well, what if we just deal with the world where we go to 100x and then we wash out all the weak hands and then we pop up another 10x maybe at the end of the run? That's possible. That is possible. But, big but, there's no staking. PulseChain and PulseX, they do not have staking. I want to show you as well. Okay, look, once again, please, I have to remind you again, many times I will, don't shoot the messenger. I did the numbers here for you and me. Like, you think this is hard on you? This is hard on me. I want it to be 1,000x and 10,000x too. I want to be wrong. I want this to be wrong, by the way. I want to look back on this video and go, oh man, I was so wrong. Wow, we actually went there. I want this to be wrong way more than you can possibly imagine. I want this to blow the roof off. But these are the numbers we're dealing with. This is the reality. Let's go to PulseX. PulseX, some of you have remembered, I have a post. The 4 Poopie Horsemen. I make a very frequent post. There were 4 big wallets out of like the top 200 who basically sold the bottom and crushed the price. They demonstrated that they want nothing to do with the HEX community. Why? They sold after minus 97%. That's the definition of the opposite thing of what we want everyone to do. They sold the low. Some people will say, hey, some of them were cashing out profit. Some of them were taking losses. Wallet DO1 was still cashing out profit. Interesting. At the top of the HEX price at 50 cents, Wallet DO1 had $140 million. Because he had 280 million HEX. He had $140 million at the top. He only cashed out a couple of million. I forgot how many. When did he decide to cash out the next 280 million? That's right. At my big fat red arrow. After minus 97%, he sold there. He sold when you needed him to hold the most. These people are not our friends, okay? It's one big game. Just a reminder. One big game. So Wallet DO1, you're probably going to ask, right? Oh, what did he sacrifice for PulseChain and PulseX? Now it's going to get a bit poopy for you, sirs and madams, because unfortunately, Wallet DO1 is actually on PulseX ladder. His rank, this is him, C181D. He put in 14.4 million for PulseX. So if we do a 100x, he has 14.4 billion. Just him. Just one dude. That if he does 10,000x, he'll have 144 billion. Well, he overtakes like Elon Musk. Him and everyone else overtakes him. You know what I mean? Like, this is the numbers you're dealing with. This, once again, I've got to remind you, for the 4th time, don't shoot the messenger. If this hurts you to think about it, you are not long enough. Instead of hoping that millions and millions of people euphorically push it up in the future, how about you do the hard work now? How about you sell that second car you don't need? How about you use that extra savings that you're not going to need? How about you get that second job? How about you allocate more and put your balls and ovaries on the line now so you can prevent this just in case we stop at 100x and then flop down 75%? Because remember, this is the problem. If PulseChain and PulseX, let's say, unfortunately, let's say it does hit 100x on us and then stops. It's not going to give you like 3 months to get out at 100x. You're going to be holding. I just showed you the HEX example. It hit 50 cents and then 2 months later, it's down like 14 cents. It's down 75% because people start cashing out from the liquidity. So your 100x, if it stops at 100x, it will go down to a 25x. And then you have to get out on the retracement of about a 50x. And if you don't, it comes all the way back down to 5x. Now, I know these numbers sound so harsh and so cruel. You're like, can't possibly happen. Well, what if it does? You have to plan for that. I'm not in control. You're not in control either. These are the people in control. These are the people in control, friends. These are all these people. PulseX, all these person. Let's go to rank 65. This person put 1.3 million. Like the 65th people. I want you to imagine a house. So this person at 100x, who have 135 million. At 1000x, he has 1.3 billion. Remember, in this HEX example, if HEX goes to the freaking moon, $5, which is huge. If HEX hits $5, you'll have about 1 billion liquidity. 1B. But I've just showed you this. Every single person here has a billion. Every single one. 1B, 1B, 1B. Look at this. Rank 77. Still a billion. Still a billion. Still a billion. Rank 100, 1.1 billion. So effectively, if we get here to this 1000x ROI, you've said to me, hey, I believe of the top 150 wallets, only like 3 are going to sell. We wash them out. And the other 147, however much it is, of the other 147, none of them decide to take out 500 million from the liquidity pool. And remember, I'm being very optimistic, friends. I've assumed we've won here because the real number is only 100 million in the previous HEX top. So I'm already being super bullish for the next HEX peak, assuming the liquidity and everything matches. So these are the numbers we're dealing with. This is the reality of the world we're in. So this is it. So you will often hear, a lot of people will say to me, hey man, well, if PEPE and all these meme coins, if they do a 1000 to 2000x, why can't PulseChain and PulseX do a 2000x? Why? But I can give you the answer why. Do you want to know why? They can do it, by the way. They can. I'm not here to say they can't. So you're not only going to face the 4 Poopie Horsemen because they have much bigger size, but look at this. You can go look at the adoption numbers, friends. All right. PEPE started, so for example, I'm going to write it up here. PEPE started with 100 holders. SHIB started with 850 holders. These are real numbers, okay? I looked it up on Etherscan. I've marked them, okay? So PEPE, 100 people, to 100 to like 200. Shiba Inu, 850 holders. That's why they were able to do huge, because their user base is lower. HEX started with 5,000 people. Conservative, all right? 5,000 people down here. So HEX started with 5,000 people. And that's why if you can just do a rough approximate Metcalfe's law on it. And yes, if you get to the current number today, it's roughly where we should be. From 5,000 people to 150,000, roughly, or whatever the number is, you get some sort of zone and you end up in our price area. That's what it is. Remember, PulseChain has 40,000 people starting. PulseX has 140,000. All right. Now, of course, I know a lot of you are going to say, oh, but a lot of them are small wallets, small addresses. Yeah, but HEX had people putting in $50 at the start as well. HEX had people putting in like, $30, $40 at the beginning as well. So did Bitcoin, and Metcalfe's law worked for that. So why shouldn't it work on us? If you think it won't work on us, well, I hope I'm wrong. I hope it goes euphoric, but every other example we've looked at, it works, whether people have a small amount of money or not. It summarizes a large group of people. It just describes it. So really, at the end of the day, we're starting with a higher number of people. So if you say to me, okay, well, these are just rough numbers. If you say to me, hey, what's it going to take for PulseChain to do a 1000x? You find the square root of it, and that's how much you have to multiply the user base. So you got to multiply the user base by 31x. So you want to do 31 times 40,000 people. We've got to get to 1.2 million people. That's all we have to do. Roughly. Using the chain. It can't be wallet addresses spammed. This is something. It can't be wallet addresses spammed. It can't be people faking the transactions. It doesn't work like that. It has to be real people. If you want to know, Ethereum has 450,000 daily active users today. At the top of the bull market, it had 850,000. So I'm praying we can smash it. I really am praying we can do that. But it's like, if you say to me in one cycle, we're going to get to Ethereum size today, I would say chill out. That's like, I hope it happens. Man. I hope exponentially everything grows. It's just that maybe it's a 2-cycle thing. That's why now I'm telling you should get super aggressive now. So this is how you got to think about these. So now you know, meme coins start from a lower number of users and they grow. And so much easier. It's like it's easy for you. So in a meme coin, if you recruit 5 of your friends to buy the meme coin with you, you affect the price much more than if you recruited 5 friends to buy PulseX because they have 140,000. When you add 5 people to 140,000, it's nothing. But when you add 5 people to 100 people, wow, you increase the user base by 5%, just you by your friends. Isn't that big? And you can also look at the ROI as well. We can also look at, this is the HEX ROI compared to Bitcoin and Ethereum. And you can see HEX is up here. So this is another thing you got to look at. Ethereum started with, 10,000 people, I believe. 10,000 people, okay? 10,000 people, Ethereum. So HEX started with 5,000. So remember, HEX had about 5,000 people at the start. PulseChain is starting with 40,000. Okay, 40,000. So I know you see like, oh, it's thousands of people. No, you got to look at it as a multiplier. So effectively, PulseChain divided by HEX was 8 times bigger. So if you do 8 squared, you will get the price differential you have foregone because you're starting later. This is roughly how you calculate it. So 64x. So effectively, what it means is we are 64x higher in price than we could have been if we got in earlier, which makes sense. Makes so much sense because it was the HEX community bootstrapped PulseChain and PulseX with all the sacrifices and everything, and that makes obviously perfectly rational sense. But look, obviously they still go up over time, but the tilt for Bitcoin and Ethereum start shifting. So if you're looking at HEX down here, this is where we're starting on that chart. We're starting at a higher base, effectively. We are starting our chart from here. Notice that every bar here is a 10x. 10, 10. So yeah, it's still possible. Let's say PulseChain and PulseX, we're launching with the effective user base of HEX around this zone. Yeah, we could do a 10x and a 10x. Isn't that great? And then maybe even one day another 10x on that. Wouldn't that be huge? That would be big. So these are all the numbers, friends. You have to decide for yourself how you're going to act on this. What can you do? And a lot of you want to know exactly, all right, so we have all these wallets. You can see all of these people. You can even see, remember, Wallet DO1, this dude, he sold after minus 97%. So he capped the rally and then he waited for it to crash and then he bludgeoned everyone to death. And I've also got to mention to you one more piece of critical information. I've seen this mentioned a lot. You'll often see on Twitter and YouTube, people will say this. So false, I'll just write this fallacy, right? People won't sell PLS or PLSX because they will deposit it onto a money market and grab the liquidity from there. So for example, what they'll do is people are saying that people won't sell because they're going to deposit their PulseChain and PulseX onto a money market, and instead of selling, they'll get credits and they'll be able to withdraw and loan out to themselves USDC and any money they need for liquidity. So this is something you got to understand. I've just shown you 100 wallets apiece, PulseChain and PulseX. Friends, everything is a game, okay? So this assumption does not work in real life. Do you know why? It's because real life is player versus player. We are all in a game together. We are in a community. We're trying to onboard the next 100 million people. And to onboard them, you have to convince them that they're early. It's a game. Doesn't matter how anybody spins it. Bitcoin does it. Ethereum does it. Every single community does it. People in stocks do it. Every single person does it. Everyone is selling something. It's all a game. Now, I've just shown you 200 wallets there. Okay, 200 wallets, and there's many more out there. You have to assume that everybody else knows it's a game as well. And even if you don't, even if you said to me, well, I reckon we can get away with murder, and I think many people, they're not actually going to sell as much. You might say to me, well, I reckon 80% of people will do this. But look at the liquidity I just gave you. Even if, so this is, by the way, now we're at rank 70. Let's just go high. Let's go rank 26. Let's look at this guy. Rank 26 for PulseX. If PulseX at the very top, it's 100x or somewhere, has like 1 billion in liquidity and it's trying to push higher. Remember, this guy's got 335 million. This is just the 100x. What about 1000x? This guy's got 3.3 billion. This person, he knows that there are other people around him. He knows at some point he has to get out, because if he doesn't, other people are going to get out and they're going to remind him that it's all a game. 3.3 billion here, 3.3 billion. This is the 1000x column, by the way. 1000x, 3.3 billion, 3.3 billion. So that's the game. But this is just one person crushing the price. What if we're at 100x? This is why I say to you, I can see it being 100x. I can see it being 50 to 100x. Like, I can see these people having hundreds of millions of dollars, slowly getting out over time, but not selling everything. I can see this guy ranked 2022. He has 380 million. Maybe he's cashed out like 40 million, 20 million. What do you need the rest for? But this is the fallacy, man. Don't think just because they're in money markets, they're going to do it. Because remember, that if they borrow, they will have a liquidation point. These people are not silly, friends. They're not silly at all. They know if they borrow and their liquidation point is like 80% lower, it can easily get there. Look how thin the liquidity is. You can see everybody on chain. So all it takes is, of the top 100 people, it just takes like 10 people to know, hey, I'm out of this game. Because why? Because it is a game. That's all it takes. So that's something you have to weigh up for yourself. And these money markets do not stop the price collapses of other assets. Bitcoin, Ethereum, nothing. It does not stop them. In fact, it gives you more fear, because they can actually get hunted. Because why would you show the world, hey, I've got a $40 million loan here, if people sell HEX just another like 20% lower, they can cascade me. That's eventually what happens. And we will see that, by the way. There will be a few people who make this big mistake. It's going to happen. So nothing is immune. So once again, it all comes back down to the principles. You buy low, you sell high, buy in the depression, sell in the euphoria. There's none of these gimmicks and games that you can't end up cheating. If you try to end up cheating it, you will learn the hard way. You will become one of the Celsius liquidations, FTX liquidations. They're going to be like that. So that's what happens. And unfortunately, it doesn't stop the price from collapsing anyway. It doesn't stop the price from hitting a ceiling. So now that we've gone through all this information, what can you actually do? Because all this is just talk. You go, okay, well, I'm kind of coming back to reality. I really wish I wouldn't. Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I wish I'm wrong, man. I want this to go thousands of X. I hope total crypto market cap doesn't stop at 10 trillion. I hope it hits 20 trillion, 30 trillion. I hope it goes to the moon. But I just want you to know, I've just shown you evidence. When the top of the cycle hits, it doesn't like sit there for like, oh, I'll give you 6 months to get out of your 100X. No, just go straight bang. Just start sinking. The first 50% is very quick. First 60% is very quick. Okay. So what can you do now? Well, all you can do now is get more aggressive. Buy more. That's really what you do. But you haven't heard people say that to you before. That's funny. So if you want to avoid this, if you are trying to plan ahead in the future, you're trying to say, hey, in a few years, maybe I get grounded to reality. Maybe the returns are more diminished than I thought. What will you say to yourself? The year's 2025, it's December. What would you go back and tell your past self today? What would you tell yourself? The answer would be, I wish I bought more and I got more aggressive. I increased my long exposure into HEX, PLS, PLSX, whatever it is in the ecosystem. I wish I did, such that once we hit some milestones, I could peel some off and I could leave it aside just in case we collapsed. That's the ultimate message of my video for you. You are a straight back, baby doll, baby cake, sugar pie. You eat bananas. You have 3 ice cubes in your orange juice and you do wear fluffy slippers. Like, subscribe, bell button, all friends. Tell mum and dad that you love them.